Welcome to the first episode of Conversations Sin Miedo. Today we're diving into breaking the silence, why mental health matters in the Hispanic community. So pretty much just an overview of mental health stigma within the Hispanic culture, really the community in general. We're going to talk a little bit about personal stories, statistics on how mental health is viewed, and also have a guest speaker. So pretty much starting off is even starting this episode, I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to start? I was just nervous and it's the first episode. So thank you for joining. It's an honor. Thank you for listening. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you to everyone for the support. And so today, that's what we're going to dive into. And, this isn't something new to us. There is this huge stigma, but it's often not talked about. So I'm your host, Sonia, and today we'll kind of be exploring a little bit first about what's the stigma, what is going on. It's this huge thing of mental health that when you first think about it, it's not talked about, and it's so important. Mental health is literally health. It's just intertwined in everything we do, and it affects everything too. It's honestly crazy how much our physical health is affected by our mental health. And there's a few stigmas I'm going to go over today, but pretty much a mental health stigma refers to a negative attitude and beliefs and discrimination towards individuals who experience mental health challenges. So, I had a friend, love her to death. She's like, I don't speak Spanish. I can't listen to your podcast. And I'm like, no, this isn't. You don't have to speak Spanish. In the future, I do want to do a full episode in Spanish because I am not comfortable speaking Spanish. I was going to say I'm a no sabo, but I honestly hate that saying. Oh, it is a no sabo. I'm like, no, I just think it's mean. Well, that's an episode we'll have later about how growing up here in the United States and how learning English, learning Spanish is a huge thing. But no, you don't have to speak only Spanish. This is for, or you don't have to be Hispanic. This is just my podcast. I just want to start the conversation and talk about it. Conversations sin miedo, conversations without the fear. Just starting that conversation, and it's important, and just understanding and talking about these stigmas can help reduce them and allowing more people to feel comfortable seeking the help they need. And that's kind of where the first stigma going into it is just seeking help. And it can look different for everyone. It could be talking to a friend, talking to someone you love, your best friend, your mom, your dad, even there's people that I was gonna say are super religious, and they do that. Do what you gotta do, sis. Do what you need to do that helps you, that to vent. I think it's so important. Sometimes you just need to have those days where you just let it out. We just have that, we just hold it in so much that it's so hard on our bodies that we don't process it. And so our bodies take a hit. We feel tired, we can't sleep, or we can't eat. It's just I'm trying to say organized because I feel there's so much to talk about. But anyways, going back to the stigma. So the first one, I think is super important, is mental illness as a weakness. So many people see this as view mental health struggles as a sign of weakness, or a personal failure, believing that just toughen up or snap out of it. And it just pisses me off how just drink some water, you're fine. Just snap out of it, you're fine. Let me just flip the switch, you're fine, I'm fine. Literally, that's not how that works. When, like I said, it's mental health. If we see it as like a physical, like if someone, it's like saying if someone broke their leg, oh, walk it off. Just walk it off. Go for a run. You're fine. You're fine. Like it's just such this huge thing of like we have to be tough all the time, and I don't know where that's from. It's like a meme. I'm such a meme person, like seeing memes, and that's like my whole personality. And there's this girl that's like, well, it's not really a meme, but this like audio or video thing where she's like, "Are you good, sis? Are you okay?" And her friend's in tears, crying and nodding. She's like, I'm okay, I'm okay." And she's like, "No, you're not. You're not okay. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be good all the time." I have to find that. I'm first starting off in audio, but I think soon I'll do video and like just pull up my memes or pull up what I'm like showing people what I'm referring to. Um, but I think that's a huge thing too of in the Hispanic community of like at any age really, but you kind of see it like if you like I remember growing up, it's just like was ponte a limpiar, just get up and clean, like you can't be bored, like it's not real. It's this huge thing of like oh, just go clean. Oh, you're just lazy. Like, oh my God, it's not like you're not lazy of like your physical body can't get up and even get up, even get out of bed. You physically can't get out of bed. And, you know, with mental health, it's seen as a weakness, but it looks different for everyone. And I think that's what's so, I'm already gonna cry. It's okay to cry. I tell, like, so I'm actually a therapist, and I was going to do like a disclaimer, like, I'm not here like preaching or saying like, I'm a therapist, you have to listen to me. No, I think I have you got to give me some credit of like, I feel like I know what I'm talking about. I've had, what, I can't do math, 7, 8+ years of studying, but it's, it's not easy. Mental health is super important, and you don't know what anyone has been through or gone through and or is going through. You don't like that thing. I feel like everyone has heard like you don't know someone until you walked a mile in their shoes is huge. And you know, I get it sometimes, like you don't have to, there's some people that are mean out there or whatever, like, you know, it's not an excuse. Like that's another thing. You don't, oh, I'm just like, I have a right to be mean because of what happened to me or whatever. Like, no, that's not what this means. It means that like just kind of understanding that and understanding that like people can be going through, you know, something that you don't know about. People can be going through or have been through or in their childhood or adulthood and things like that that they just they don't talk about or keep inside. So yeah, you just never know. Another stigma is, I think, I was going to talk about fear, like just like, you know, I don't want people to know I'm seeking help or like, I don't want people to see me going to therapy or things like that because it's a belief that therapy is like for crazy people, it's just therapy is so misunderstood. Like, I feel like we see therapy in like movies. First of all, I hate those movies that are like, oh, I go, to a session and it's like a person jotting down notes, which, you know, every therapist does it differently, but I don't know, it's just seen like, it's just interpreted, you know, obviously in movies, just completely not like that. But there's people that believe that therapy is for severe issues, like I don't know, just this misconception that can make people like hesitate to seek support for less severe challenges, if that makes sense. Like, even though therapy can benefit anyone, like, it's, you don't have to have like this huge severe depression or anxiety. Like, it really is like, hey, I'm feeling like super anxious more than usual, or like feeling just different. Like, I'm not feeling like myself. I want to talk to someone. And just kind of, I don't know, just kind of like reminding yourself that it's not, I don't know, it's not like a, like, people often say, well, my problems don't matter, or like, it's, what is it? It's like, oh, there's other people that need it more than me. Like, there's so many providers out there. And there's even like therapy, like, I'm not saying therapy is the number one, like, you have to go, and I've had friends that they go and they're like, I didn't like my therapist. And that's okay. You don't have to like the first one. Like, you could go, what's called telehealth is like, you could do Zoom, pretty much like a Zoom. A train passed by. I hope you didn't hear that. There's, like, you could, you don't have to be face to face or in a, I don't know, someone's office, or like drive there. Or you can be in person and have a space like, okay, this is, my therapist's office. This is where I feel safe, things like that, that like, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say it's kind of like dating, but I've just seen that somewhere, that it's kind of like, you have to find the right fit for you, really. And yeah, there's so many, I think just starting, like I said, seeking help professionally is super huge, because, sometimes like, maybe there's people that don't have that person they can confide in, or don't feel comfortable with talking about things or processing it or whatever. And there's so many different types of therapy, but I trying to stay organized, don't want to, I don't know, veer off topic, but no, it's not just for, like, I don't know, therapy's for everyone. Even there's so many different types of therapy too, like play therapy, like for younger kids, like kindergarten, they can literally play with toys, it looks like, but the therapist is like certified and like playing with, it's obviously playing toys with them, but it's like they do it in a way to understand them, like that's their form of communication. And that's another thing, that like people see that like behavior is a type of communications for kids. It's at that age, it's like they can't, what's the word? They can't really talk about, I don't know, it's kind of hard to find the words really as an adult, but I don't know, sometimes when people are like, oh, this kid is like, why is he acting up or being bad or blah, 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 like, I don't know, we just have to remind ourselves that behavior is a form of communication, and that could look, even for adults, I guess, kind of, you could see that. Another stigma I going into that is that I guess there's like concerns about like burdening family, or like, oh, I'm the oldest, or I have to be good. I can't, I don't have time to make mistakes. I don't have time. Like, I'm at the bottom of my list of people to take care of. I have to take care of my mom or sister or brother or anything. And like, people don't prioritize themselves, and like they have to really keep that, again, like keep that inside, like, no, I have to put others first, or like, I feel like that kind of ties in with like being the oldest, that thing of like, well, I have to take care of everyone else, or I can't show, I have to be good, I have to be tough, or I can't show weakness, pretty much. There's like that. Also, it kind of ties in with like that belief of like your family is your primary support. Like, seeking outside help is like, can feel like a betrayal, or like you are betraying your family in a way. And it's not the right thing to do. It's, again, it's like the stigma. And I kind of was like looking and kind of diving deep into like what different type of stigmas there are. But that could be another one too. Like, no, like kind of like keep it in the family, like, no, we don't talk about this, or sweeping it under the rug. Oh, just just the belief of like what happens in our family stays in the family. What are people going to think? Blah, blah, blah. It's just that ridiculous way of thinking that, like, what are others going to say? Or like, it's like, who gives a damn? Who cares? Like, I am putting myself first and talking about my health, and that's why you said like going to a therapist, a huge thing is confidentiality. It's huge. And so yeah, I was saying earlier that like I'm a therapist, and I like that's literally the number one rule. And I so I'm a school-based therapist, so I work with elementary school clients, and so they are under 18, so obviously they have a legal guardian or their parent, so I my client can be like, oh my god, my mom was so annoying. I'm like, today I don't know, I'm just making this up, but like she just like bugged me today or something. I'm not gonna be like, oh, your kid said this about you today, what you do? I'm not gonna, like, that's not the point. So, what I'm saying is, even at this young age of like, oh, these are just kids or whatever, like, no, they have the right to confidentiality too. They have the right that, just like an adult or an older person or aging person, like, they have the right of confidentiality. And, that's a huge thing as a therapist, is that, and seeking help is from a professional that's like, sometimes it's fun, like, you talk to your friends or like to your best friends and like kind of venting, but like with a professional, it's different. They're not telling you what to do. It's gaining these skills and whatever goals you have for therapy. It's just, I don't know, I love it. Like, obviously as a therapist, I'm like, yes, go to therapy, girl. Like, just try it. I mean, you never know. Oh, this is a hard one too. I guess it's not hard, but like with me personally, so another stigma is like religion or faith alone should heal or will heal you. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it can't. And I don't know, I think in this Hispanic community too, like, again, personally, I just remember, like, my church was mean. I'm gonna say it, girl. Y'all were mean to me. Literally, like, I was in middle school. Oh my god, how old was I? 14, 13? And, I mean, there were some nice people, but some of y'all were mean and not really nice. And even thinking about it today, I'm just like, I don't know, there's other things into it too, but I just didn't feel comfortable there, and didn't, obviously, like, these people fucking, like, literally would say shit about me. Like, if you know, you know, like, I don't know, but they were just mean to me, and, like, would, I don't know, just force, like, kind of just that thing too of, like, you listen to me, I guess, like, I didn't have an opinion, or I had to sit there, and I don't know, again, my personal, I'll get into it later, but that'll be episode 4, but just that thing too of, like, sometimes it doesn't help, if it does, like, beautiful, I love that for you, like, sometimes, like, just, through prayer or your religious practices or anything like that, but sometimes, like I have a friend too that they grew up in that sort of life, and it was just terrible for them now growing up, and they kind of see that. And again, I'm not like hating on religion. Nothing like that, but I remember them talking to me and that they're like, I don't know. Like, um, I don't know with my parents, like, them being like super strict. And again, it was just like that, just this mean, negative community. So, I don't know, it's very hard sometimes with religion too, especially in the Hispanic community and maybe in other communities too, that um, like if you're depressed or anxiety, we don't believe in that. Like, go, like, just pray, have some prayers, like, do this, that. It's, for me and a lot of friends, like, we did, what's it called? Like, church school? What's it called? Is that what it's called? But, like, in Spanish, like, catecismo. Is that what it's called? Church school? I feel like I feel like there's another word. But, Sunday school. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, we all had we all have our own experience, but it was kind of negative for some of us. And I don't know, that's another thing too of like, I'm not scared to talk about it, but it's hard to really, like, I feel like thinking about church school, like, some people liked it, some, like, the teachers loved them and they were just mean to others, or like, it just didn't hit for other people how it did for them. But sometimes it was like that again, negative aspect of like, keep it in the family, don't talk about it, and that's why we're here, to talk about it, to start the conversation. So another stigma is medication. So taking medication for mental health, believing it shows like, I guess, like, showing like, oh, you're weak, or you have to depend on a pill. And sometimes I don't like taking pills or medicine. And like, when you're like, what's the word, like, feeling, excuse me, feeling like sick, or like, you have like, you gotta blow your nose or something, you're like, I'm gonna tough it out. Or you feel a headache, you're like, I'm gonna tough it out, I'm not gonna take an ibuprofen, blah blah blah. Like, I feel like I do that sometimes. And literally my husband, I beg him, I'm like, you literally have a stuffy nose, you have all these, like, it's literally like a cold. And he's like, I'm good, I don't need medicine. Like, what? Like, obviously it's not the same, but it's that you see it too, like, no, I'm not gonna take medicine, whatever, like, toughen it out. And I think, like, sometimes we have to take medication, and even finding the right one and your dosage. And sometimes it's hard because there are some doctors that are like pill pushers too, like, you have to take this one and this one. And again, that's something that you have to find what works for you. Like, something that works for your friend is not going to work for you, or like someone in your family. I don't know, just talking to the right people, like your doctor, or even a psychiatrist. I love my psychiatrist, love you girl, she's so nice. And she, like, listened to me. And I don't know, I kind of explained to her, like, with my body, especially as women, like, I got this or whatever. And she really listened. So I don't know, that's another, whole other world of, I don't know, medical things. This next one, gender expectations. So for men, especially in cultures that value traditional masculinity, so that's another stigma, that it's seen as unmanly, that to admit or to be emotional or have mental struggles. And that's another episode. We'll dive deep into it, but I just wanted to talk about that too. Like, I don't think it's machismo. I've heard there's like different people have different definitions of machismo or machista. So that's, being like, I'm a man, I have to be strong, I can't show weakness, pretty much. And I don't think I think it's huge in the Hispanic community, but I feel like in a lot of communities and everywhere, really, like a man has to be tough. You can't cry, like this huge thing on like no emotion, and no, it's we're all humans. Like this is not men have to be strong, or that's no, we're all humans and we all have emotions, and we have the right, like I said, kids or adults or your grandmas, your grandpas, anyone, you know, males or females, or really everyone has their right to feel and to not be criticized to do that. If that means crying, or if that means talking about it, or if that means that looks different for everyone really, but I think that's such a huge one too, because I was looking at statistics, and I like research. I mean, it seems I love just like give me a sentence, don't dive deep into it. But really, for me, when I was looking at it, so mental and behavioral health in the Hispanic community, the death rate from suicide for Hispanic males was 4.4 times the rate for Hispanic women in 2020. And this is from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Minority Health. Again, girl, I'm not preaching up here. I'm not a doctor. This is online. This isn't some people are like, okay, literally my grandma did this. Like, she's like, my doctor told me this and this. And I was like, Grandma, you did not go, she doesn't drive. So I'm like, we didn't take you to a doctor's appointment recently. Like, when, which doctor? She's like, no, just, mi doctor me dijo this. I'm like, like, which doctor? And she was talking about, she saw a video. I love my grandma, love you, girl, but she was like, she saw this video on Facebook of a man in a white doctor's coat, and she's like, my doctor told me this. I'm like, Grandma, I love you. And she's smart. I'm not going to say, she, obviously, if you see a man in this doctor's coat, you're like, okay, he's saying something. No, this was some fake, Facebook video. I saw it and I'm like, okay, this is some random person that just put on this white coat. So yeah, I'm like, okay, check your sources. This is a good source. So in 2020, the suicide death rate for Hispanics was less than half the rate for non-Hispanic whites. In 2023, Hispanic adults were 60% less likely to have received mental health treatment than non-Hispanic white adults. I'll let that sink in. 60% less likely. So, like I said, mental health is health. It's physical health. It's it ties in with suicide, and like physically and mentally, just it's all tied together. And like I said, seeking help looks different for everyone, but this is just so important, and I'm just so glad we're having this conversation somehow. Well, you're listening, but so those are just kind of like a few stigmas I was looking into. I felt like there was another one. I feel like I missed one. So if you guys don't know, so I post on my Facebook page, so like what episode's coming out, and then on my Facebook group, that's kind of where you can like engage in the conversation. So I posted this first episode, like what we're going to talk about, and each week I'll post like what topic we're going to have for the next episode. And so I want people to, like, if you're part of the group, you can be anonymous, so you could post like a story, or you could post a question like, what is this, or what does this mean? So I was kind of looking into a little bit from my Facebook group that I think I kind of talked about this, but like how depression is not real. That like a lot of parents see it as like that's not real, or you use it as an excuse to, I don't know, not clean your room. And that's a thing. Like depression room or depression car, like you physically can't get up, you can't clean. It's actually a thing. Um I remember, I feel like everyone knows SNL, but the like Bad Bunny Benito, he did that skit where it was like um they were like depression is not real, like the girlfriend or whatever was saying like, oh, his depression was bad, and then the mom was like, mijo doesn't have depression, he's just afraid of the dark. Oh my god, like it was so funny. Pedro Pascal was on it too. Like, oh, you. This is why I feel like I have to do videos so you can watch it. We can watch it together, but very soon. But even right, just that. Oh, this isn't real. Like, just because we can't see it or it's not like doesn't mean it's not real. It is real. It's so important. So, growing up, mental health wasn't something we talked about in my house. And even like now, how old am I? I'm an adult. And like telling my family, I'm like, oh, I'm a therapist. And they're like, I work at a school, and they're like, are you a teacher? I'm like, no, I'm not a teacher. I love y'all man, props to you teachers, because I be seeing things. I'm like, I'm gonna pray for y'all. That's a lot. It's a hard job. But I'm like, no, I'm not a teacher. I'm a therapist. And what does that mean? Or what does this look like? Even that. But yeah, mental health was not talked about. I guess it was more of not really sweeping it under the rug, but like, well, kind of, but just something, yeah, we don't talk about. And so I wanted us to kind of go through these stigmas and really just kind of think of, and there's so many, but I don't know, I just kind of jotted a few down and just talking about it. But like I said, each week I really want to dive deep into them. And I'm so excited for the other ones are good. They're gonna be really good. I'm excited for them. But today I wanted to, and I'm gonna have some guest speakers and like people in the community, and really have different perspectives too. But today I was like, well, it's the first episode. I guess I'll be the guest too. So, like I said, I am a therapist, and I've been for a couple years, and I guess a little background. I did get my bachelor's and master's, and I went into therapy just, I guess, for my passion for mental health, and I wanted to start in this path in my career. And like I've said before, it's just so important to me, and I'm just yeah, I really love what I do. I think it's super important. Like I said, so I'm contracted with my office, and so I'm a school-based therapist. So I have therapy at school with some students, and yeah, they're aged from like 5 to 11. And like I said, I've been doing this for a couple years, but starting off with, I guess, just growing up again, I think I'm empathic. No, I am empathic. I'm an empathic person, and I wanted to have a career of like what can I do to help? What can I do to help others? And it was kind of hard. I was like, I wanted to be a school counselor, like something along those lines. So this is where I am right now, and I do love it. So, okay, I guess I'm interviewing myself. Um, so yeah, that's, I guess, a little background. So I am Hispanic. My parents are both from Mexico, and I grew up in, with my cousins and my aunts and my family, and most of us speak Spanish, and in my culture, growing up, it's this beautiful thing. I love being Hispanic, and I love my culture, and a huge thing too of why I wanted to do this is just the barrier of mental health. First of all, barriers in therapy of there's not a lot of therapists who speak Spanish or have that culture or that background. And I live in the Midwest, so it's not as many, but there is some of us, and I love our little community of professionals that are Hispanic. And you don't have to be Hispanic to help or be be culturally aware, but there's this therapist in my office. He's so nice, and he learned Spanish, and he's just so awesome. Like, he's so empathic, like, so you don't have to be, you're be Mexican or anything like that to understand. But I guess for me, when I first started looking for a therapist, I love my therapist, by the way. Love you, girl. Shout out to you. But just that, like, it's kind of hard. I'm like, I'm like, girl, we're Mexican. We do this. I'm just trying to explain it, and I'm just like, ugh, I just get that, like, I know you don't get it, but she tries. I love her. She's the best. But it's like, we all have our experience too. Like, just because I'm Hispanic doesn't mean I know what you're going through. That's not what I'm saying either. But it's like when you walk into a room, and one of my good friends said this the other day of, like, you walk into the room and you see, like the other day I was walking into a restaurant, and I went to have lunch with my coworkers, and I saw other people that looked like me, and it was just this comfort. It was just this, like, I don't know, just like a sigh, like just taking a deep breath, like, I don't know, it's just that comfort. So yeah, that's why I wanted to go into therapy and be a therapist and help our community and break down those barriers. So how does this, I don't know, I'm trying to interview myself at the same time. So how does cultural stigma around mental health show up in your work with Hispanic clients? And what do you do to help break through that stigma? So I think I kind of talked about this before, but I think a huge thing is confidentiality. Like, I live in a small town, and, like, Hispanic families I work with, they might, like, I don't know my aunt's friend, sister, whatever. Like, we're all connected somehow. And I just think, like, a huge thing is confidentiality and breaking that stigma of, like, it's not I'm not going to tell the world what you tell me thing. It's about that trust and that trust building, and I think that's a huge thing in that stigma of, like, even going to therapy and feeling scared and feeling scared to open up and talk to someone. It was hard for me. It's still hard for me. And I see it in some of my clients too. And so I think that's a big thing, is, like, even just understanding therapy too. There's so much there, but what I do to help break through is, again, keeping that confidentiality and understanding, like, a lot of people, it's their first time going to therapy, and like, okay, what does therapy mean to you? Like, really understanding and understanding what that looks like for, it looks different for everyone. Um, so, what's your approach to making therapy culturally relevant and safe for your Hispanic clients? Um, like I said too, everyone has their own experience, has their own life. Like maybe something that was good for them wasn't good for someone else. So I think it's important to like I said, yes, I am Hispanic, but that doesn't mean I relate to you or like we go through we go through similar things, but it doesn't, like, we all have our own experience. For everyone it looks different. So with my approach, it's just like I said, it's just important to understand that and be open, and even in different cultures too, it is like there are clients of mine that are Spanish speaking, but even when people speak Spanish, it's different. Like it's a different, I guess. Why did this come to my head? But she's, what's her name? Like Jenny69. She's like this huge, like, rapper. I don't know, influencer. I don't know what to call her. But she's like, oh, I speak like rancho Spanish, like not proper, or like speaking even like, again, that language barrier of like, even when things are translated, it's so different from English to Spanish. But how people in other countries too, it's it looks different, and something that, okay, like I always talk about, which I'll probably talk about, Inside Out, like the movie about emotions, and like, how sadness is blue. Um, there was this like activity thing I was going through of like colors and how you feel, and they were saying how like feeling or the color blue is like, that's like water, like that's cold water. So it's, I don't know, it's not the same. So yeah, like I was saying, like blue looks different. It's like when you think, what does this blue emotion mean? Like, I don't know, she looks blue, like water, like an ocean. You know what I'm saying? It's like it looks different for everyone. Um and just kind of being aware of that and open to it, and not, again, not thinking that what, like, it's the same for everyone, you know. Um so my last question, what's one piece of advice or a mantra you live by when it comes to taking care of your own mental health? Oh, that's a good one. I mean, there is a mantra that I say to myself, like, in the morning when I go to work. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna be the best therapist I could be and have a good day. Sometimes we beat ourselves up, and like, we're so hard on ourselves, and like, in our thoughts, it could just go from like 0 to 100 and just go straight to negative, or like, I'm not good enough, and things like that. And just like a mantra to remind yourself, and even too, like when we say those things to ourselves, we're like, what I say is like, would I say that to my best friend? Would I say these things? I had a burp, sorry. Would I say these things to someone I love? And another topic, we're going to talk about self-care. And it's not about, I don't know, I'm not, I guess, I'm not saying like you have to, I know, I'm just saying like you have to be nice to yourself. And you're going to make mistakes and that's okay. We have to grow. We have to make mistakes to grow. If we don't make mistakes, we're not learning. And that could just look different for everyone. Like, oh, I did this wrong, or just seeing it differently. Like I saw this thing of like changing your perspective. And this could help too with like when our I guess when we feel anxious, like we jump to negative. And it's about changing your perspectives of like, oh, I'm gonna just kind of having that positive energy out there sometimes. I'm not saying be positive 24/7, but like if we're like, oh, I'm gonna have a shitty day at work and I'm not gonna get this done, blah blah. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna do instead we could be like, I'm gonna have a good day. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna do this, whatever. Just really reminding ourselves that. And that's kind of what I do sometimes. And um, just reminding ourselves that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. We're just humans, we make mistakes. But yeah, just having that self love for ourselves and I don't know, not being so hard on ourselves. So, I think that's it for my first episode. And man, this was like, I've had days where I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. I'm fucking scared. But again, just that support from my friends and my family, and just thank you. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me today on Conversations Sin Miedo. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and my Facebook page. And if you have a question you'd like answered on a future episode, reach out to us on the Facebook group. And our next topic is going to be really good too. So I really want you guys to engage in the conversation. And like I said, on the Facebook group, I'll post the topic of the upcoming episode. And, you could share stories or even ask, like, what does this mean? Or what is this? So yeah, look out for that. And again, I'm just really, really thankful for you for listening and sticking around. And yeah, let's keep breaking the stigma together. Sin miedo. I guess. That was cheesy. Whatever. All right. Take care. Love ya. Bye.